Welcome to this afternoon's CityWide Sports Network college basketball telecast on KCWX. Alongside Chuck McIntyre, Mike Lefko with you from Bill Greehey Arena on the campus of St. Mary's University as the Rattlers host the Oklahoma Christian Eagles in women's basketball. And welcome to the Gun Automotive Group pregame show. It's presented by Gun Automotive Group, where buying your next vehicle is real simple. GunAuto.com. It's a Heartland Conference matchup, and it's a matchup of two teams coming off some nice wins, Chuck, so some momentum going into this one.
Yeah, you can throw the records out the window, Michael. I mean, we got two squads. The most important thing is both are 2-2, and both are trying to work their way up the Heartland Conference ladder, so this is a big one tonight.
Oklahoma Christian, they have a high-powered guard who really leads them.
Yeah, Addie Cliff averaging over 20 points a game, and the thing that makes her scary is that she could do it inside and out. She's already bagged 46 threes on the season so far. She's also amongst the league leaders in assists and rebounds per game. So this is a young lady that can do it all and will definitely draw the attention of the St. Mary's defense tonight.
And the Rattlers have a pretty good junior of their own, don't they?
Yeah, Erika Porter, talk about leading your team. How about 13.8 points per game, almost 7 rebounds a game, 3 assists, 3 steals, all of those leading St. Mary's in those categories. So, you know, Erika's done a little bit of everything. Her veteran presence is also helping this very young team.
What do you think about, momentum? How big of a factor is that coming into a game when you had a big win like that for St. Mary's?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think this young team is looking and grasping for things to build on. So you get a late win against a Newman team, which, by the way, beat Oklahoma Christian. It can't help but build momentum.
Two very young teams indeed. We'll have more on the matchup. Chuck's tease the victory, including when we come back. Our pregame coverage continues. Welcome back to the Gun Automotive Group pregame show. And as you know, Gun Auto keeps things real simple. We're going to make this real simple for the Eagles. What do they have to do, Chuck, to win today?
Yeah, for Oklahoma Christian, Mike, they've got to do a really good job rebounding, and then they've got to play some really good D, i.e. they've got to keep St. Mary's out of the paint.
And what about for St. Mary's? What do the Rattlers have to do to take this one?
Well, first off, value the basketball, make sure your passes are true and clean, and then secondly, start quickly like they did against Newman. Stay in that game like they did the other night, and then see what you can do in the second half to win it.
Well, both these teams come in looking to gain some ground in conference. We'll have more on the series history as our pregame coverage continues. Welcome back to the Gun Auto pregame show. St. Mary's and Oklahoma Christian set to meet for the first time this season. They're pretty familiar with each other. The conference foes have the all-time series of 6-5, and they've split the regular season matchups each of the last 5 years. In fact, since Oklahoma Christian became a full D2 member, St. Mary's, they got one in a conference tournament. That's the only difference. So a pretty balanced series. Who knows what's next? In the next chapter of this matchup, it comes up next. Moments away from tip-off here at Greehey Arena. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups. They're presented by IHOP. Visit IHOP.com. We highlighted the two superstars in the opener, Erika Porter and Addie Cliff. But, Chuck, we mentioned these are two very young teams. The Lady Eagles start 3 freshmen. St. Mary's starts 2 of them. So it's been kind of a growing process in this season for these two. But one constant for Oklahoma Christian, their coach Stephanie Finley in her 33rd year. She is a legend for the Lady Eagles.
Yeah, 600-plus career wins and been there an awful long time, and she's been doing a lot of juggling with her starting lineup. Not many of the same starting lineups that they've had game to game. In fact, St. Mary's kind of doing the same thing. St. Mary's only has 3 young ladies that have started every single one of their games so far this season.
Well, Hannah Wilson, she's in the center circle for St. Mary's. She's a freshman. She had the game winner on Thursday night against Newman. We'll see if that carries over any momentum into this matchup. Rattlers come in 8-9. Oklahoma Christian 5-11, but still early part of the conference season. We're just 4 games in to Heartland Conference play. Really look at a zone from the Lady Eagles. Shot clock down to 5. There's their score, top of the arc. Porter knocks it through for three.
About what you'd expect, move the ball, find the open person, and Erika Porter from Roosevelt High School off to an early start here.
And not surprisingly, a good chunk of San Antonio represented on this St. Mary's roster. Our head coach Jason Martins, his 12th season, the all-time winningest coach for the Rattlers. Oklahoma Christians coming off a win, put up 84 points, and a win over Texas A&M International. Ball out of bounds, it'll stay, or actually go back to the Rattlers. So Jason Martins, you can see his stretch there, what he's done, 5 NCAA tournament appearances at St. Mary's. He also played college basketball at Bethel, and he was an assistant on the men's side before coming here to take over to lead the Rattlers program.
It looks like Oklahoma City's playing a 2-1-2 to start this game on the defensive side.
Interesting kind of junk defense. St. Mary's trying to figure it out. We saw them have to work all the shot clock, and now down in the final seconds again. And this one just beats the buzzer. Doesn't go, though, on a miss by Keilani Marquez. Long pass the other way. There's Clift, the most dangerous scorer for the Lady Eagles. Preseason all-conference selection. One of the best three-point shooters in the country. Ball on the deck, tipped out of bounds again, back to St. Mary's.
And the Lady Rattlers got away with one there. It was a little confusion to start that defensive possession. They were able to get the loose ball, and they got the foul, and now they earn an extra possession because of it.
Well, both these teams, we've touched on it, they had to replace so much from last year. St. Mary's lost 2 of their top 3 scorers from a 21-7 season. Oklahoma Christian graduated 6 seniors, so you're going to expect, what, some transition going into this year. But there's a nice basket from the freshman, Soteria Banks, their second leading scorer.
And a good job by St. Mary's getting back in transition.
That will be the interesting matchup. Alexia Torres, the sophomore guard, on Addie Clift, the 5'7 junior, and a foul called. It's the first on St. Mary's.
Yeah, first on Hannah, and talked about her stepping up big and large at the end of that Newman game the other night, helping St. Mary's to that last-second victory with only 4 ticks left.
They're going to attack right again on Wilson over the top. Katie Mayo, another freshman, in for the basket.
Yeah, just good basketball right there. You have a player that you know St. Mary's does not want to get in foul trouble. You go right to work on her.
Yeah, after the 6'2 Wilson, really not a lot of size on this St. Mary's team. They have a 6-foot freshman who's been very good, Audrey Wanji. But Wilson has been the good center up front.
As we see Katie Mayo posting up here, doing a really good job on Hannah, and then at the other end, Mayo picking up the foul. She is really being aggressive here in the early going.
Shot from the corner, no good from Marquez. Ball fought for, good scramble by the Lady Eagles, and they tipped it out of bounds, and it will go off of OC. Alexia Torres, another San Antonio native, went to Incarnate Word High School, 2-time first-team All-State TAP selection. They're trying to get inside to Wilson. And this is going to be a good battle all game. It looks like Wilson and Mayo going mano-a-mano down low. There's Torres, short corner jumper. She's on the board with 2.
Really good job by Torres, first with the entry pass, and then good job by the by the St. Mary's bigs to keep that ball alive, and 2 or 3 cracks at that before they got the bucket.
All of a sudden, St. Mary's has opened it up, 7-2 lead after another turnover by the Eagles. Now, this is a Lady Eagles team that relatively new to Division II basketball as Clift steals it away. Wide open to the basket, and Clift is on the board. The junior has 2.
Yeah, really nice job by Addie Clift. We talked about at the opener, averaging 20 a game, getting an easy basket for her team. Just getting clean looks has been tough to come by so far for Oklahoma Christian. That'll help that immeasurably.
Turnaround jumper in the paint, no good from Banks. And tip right back down to Audrey Hayes, the lone senior in the starting lineup.
We take another look at the last bucket there. You see just great anticipation by Addie Cliff, the young lady from Oklahoma, the steal in the bucket.
Well, back and forth in the early going. We want to mention all of our first half instant replays brought to you by Thomas J. Henry. Where you or your family need help, call Thomas J. Henry 24/7 nights and weekends, 210-656-1000.
Oklahoma Christian paying a lot of attention to the St. Mary's post players right now, and because they're doubling, St. Mary's is going to have to start knocking down some of these shots from the outside, or you can guarantee Oklahoma Christian is going to continue to play that kind of defense.
Nearing the halfway point here in the first quarter. A slow start, but St. Mary's has found themselves out in the lead, and that'll extend it. Another three, this time from the freshman, Soteria Banks.
Yeah, what a wonderful addition to this team she's been. Soteria had 17 the last time out, and right on cue, we were talking about St. Mary's knocking down some outside shots, and Soteria stepping it up and knocking it in.
The first half of tonight's CSN basketball telecast is brought to you by Nissan of Boerne. For better selection and better prices, visit Nissan of Boerne. Entry pass tipped away and into the hands of Erika Porter. Well, we'll hear more from her at halftime, but this junior has grown up immensely over the last 2 years with the Rattlers. But it's Banks who's taking over, and she's got 7.
How about that? You know, you knock down a long one, you just give a little head fake, and then the defense has got to commit. She puts it on the floor and rolls to the rack.
Well, a turnover will lead to the timeout. It's been a run by Soteria Banks that sparks St. Mary's, and the Rattlers are on top midway through the first quarter. The Rattlers are on a 5-0 run, keyed by the freshman Soteria Banks, freshman from Round Rock, Texas. And although Jason Martins has said he's still looking for those freshmen to kind of acclimate themselves, when you have a score like this that can complement Erika Porter, this could be a dangerous 1-2 punch for St. Mary's.
I don't think there's any question about it. And I think, you know, you talk about the offense, it starts with the defense. They forced Oklahoma Christian into 4 early turnovers, and, you know, OC is shooting 50% from the floor, but when you're turning it over, man, that's a way for a team like St. Mary's to get a little bit of a spread on you.
Rattlers with the basketball again. Starting to probe inside on that zone. Though it caught him off guard early to start this game. The 3 thrown up over the top. Tipped around on the deck, bound down to the Eagles.
Great job by St. Mary's getting back again.
There is Audrey Wanji into the game for the first time. Moving back and forth in the paint right now for St. Mary's. Giving a little breather to Hannah Wilson. A freshman for freshman, but that's added some post presence for the Rattlers.
Yeah, and Wanji is another one that had a nice game the other night against Newman. 12 points off the bench.
Second foul there on St. Mary's. Goes on Erika Porter, her first. Deep 3 by Clift, swish.
Oh, in your face. Man, that was from a parking lot.
She was almost right on our broadcast table when she hit that one.
Nothing but net.
Led the league in 3 points made and percentage last year. Knocked down 86 of them last season. He's at 34% this year. And has really done it all for Oklahoma Christian, 5 of their 7. Corner jumper, in and out. Tipped down to Wanji, and then there's Erika Porter, who leads this team in nearly every offensive category. Calming the ball down.
Yeah, 50-50 balls, Mike, easily going the way of St. Mary's right now. I mean, they are being so aggressive, whether it's Marquez or Porter, getting a lot of help and a lot of second chances.
Porter again over the top, no good. 12-7 lead for St. Mary's. Our first half scoreboard is sponsored by John Wayne Service Company. We'll get back to that in a second. The score is now changed 12-10. So first half scoreboard sponsored by John Wayne Service Company. When you need heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical help, make just one call to fix it all. 210-293-6700. That ends the drought for the Eagles from the three-point line. And now they've knocked down a few of them.
Yeah, Tyra Peck doing the honors the last time, and then anything you could do, I could do better, says Keilani Marquez.
A senior from San Antonio, Brennan High School. Also played volleyball, tennis, and, of course, on the basketball team. And now the threes are just bombing in from distance. The Eagles in the midst of a long road stretch and a block, but a foul called on Keilani Marquez. That's her first and the team's third. Just a couple of minutes left in the first quarter. 5 fouls does get you into the bonus. Remember in the women's game, they made that change a couple of years ago to quarters and to the 5 fouls to shoot free throws. We'll see if Oklahoma Christian can take advantage of that. There's Peck with her 4th already.
I thought Keilani Marquez did a really nice job getting back in that play. Initially bought the head fake. And sometimes when you reach out with the arms, that's all the ref sees, whether he gets ball or not. So trip to the free throw line for Oklahoma Christian, and they are right in the thick of this basketball game.
And now Peck has 5. So Peck and Clift, the 2 guards, starting to carry the Lady Eagles. And here's Marquez knocking down another one from the corner. Back-to-back threes, and it seems like once St. Mary's has started to figure out how to pass around that zone, it might be a benefit for the Rattlers. It looks like they've been able to break it those last 2 possessions.
Yeah, both teams shooting the lights out from outside all of a sudden.
Turnaround off balance. Clift for 2.
As good as advertised, we talked about her in the open, and tell you what, she's come out draining the long ones, and that's not an easy shot. The last one she just put down. There's another.
How about the and one and the reaction from Banks afterwards? Fired up, head to the line for one more.
Yeah, we're looking at a couple of these ladies that are just natural scorers. Soteria Banks is another young lady that's had a couple of 20-point ball games already this year, and just a really smooth stroke. Not easy to do. You get hacked, get the bucket, and you get the free trip to the line.
Free throw in and out, though. But the lead extended for St. Mary's, back out to a 6-point edge. Final minute here in the first quarter. Long skip, packed the hot hand so far, along with Clift. You just can't corral that rebound. And now another new look, some pressure in the backcourt there to try to get the ball out of Erika Porter's hands. There's Banks again for 3, it's good!
Not sure what that young lady had for breakfast, but jeepers creepers, whatever she had, give me some of that.
12 points in the first quarter for Soteria Banks.
And I thought a really nice job by Erika Porter that last trip down, too. They've been overplaying her to the right side. She went left, found the open person, and got the assist.
Trying to keep the threes firing. That's up, no good. Tipped around, hard fought ball, pulled down by St. Mary's. Sarah Dixon gonna try to fire it up, and this time it goes.
If at first you don't succeed, right? You measured the first one, got the second one.
And the clock runs out on the first quarter. Oklahoma Christian can't get a shot up, and it is an onslaught by St. Mary's to end the first. 23-14, or 26-14, St. Mary's on top.
Yeah, it's 26, FYI.
A massive 26-point outburst in the first quarter, and most of it, Chuck, keyed by the freshman, Soteria Banks.
Yeah, 5 of 7, Mike, from the floor in that opening frame, including 2 of 3 from behind the arc. St. Mary's, though, as a team, is shooting 50% from three-point land, and I think just as impressive is how they play defense in this game. They've created 4 turnovers, but again, Soteria Banks leading the way with 12 points so far. And Oklahoma Christian not doing badly either in terms of shooting it. They're 5 of 9 from the floor, but again, you cannot turn the ball over at the rate that they are and expect to win a basketball game, especially the way St. Mary's is shooting it from behind the arc.
4 turnovers for the Lady Eagles. And how about this for St. Mary's? You're gonna love this stat if you're a coach. 7 assists to just 1 turnover. That's something they'll look at and be extremely pleased with.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think that they do very well Oklahoma Christian not quite as adept at making the extra pass. That's not really their game, but you can see what they like to do. They like to pass, and then try to pound it down low and then try to create mismatches on the perimeter. And again, they've shot the ball very well. They just haven't protected it very well. And you couple that with the fact that St. Mary's is shooting darn near 50% for this ball game, and you get the score of 26-14. I mean, Lady Snakes on a pace to crack a century mark the way they're going.
Well, here's something slightly problematic, though. Erika Porter just picked up her second foul, and she heads to the bench. A lot of time left in this game, and your leader is going to sit on the bench with some foul trouble. So a chance for the Lady Eagles to possibly capitalize. But so far, it's been all St. Mary's. So Sierra Dixon stays in. She's the one who hit that late three right before the first quarter came to an end. And the Lady Eagles stay in that zone. Nice pump fake. Torres up off the rim. Ball on the deck and picked up by Oklahoma Christian. Well, that's the thing, right? Live by the three, die by the three. We'll see if they come back down to earth or if St. Mary's keeps shooting at a torrid pace.
And Oklahoma Christian being super aggressive now, going to the rack. Madison Collier going hard and picking up the foul. Good help defense by St. Mary's, just a tick late. Getting over is Audrey Wanji.
Not a bad strategy when you're a very good free throw shooting team, as Oklahoma Christian is. 75% as a team. Collier, who just knocked down the free throw, nearly an 85% shooter. So she's on the board with one. And that helps chip into the deficit.
Yeah, always clutch if you can get to the line and you can make them, because it's a chance to score some points and not take any time off the clock.
That brings Tia Mason into the game for the Rattlers, the 6'3" senior from San Antonio. And now some full court pressure, extended full court pressure for the first time from the Lady Eagles. But a wide open Tia Mason, who converts.
How you do it, you break the press with a lot of passing, and St. Mary's getting the easy bunny breaking that press.
Pace is picked up. That was Audrey Hayes trying to attack. Left it too strong. St. Mary's entered 8-9 on the season, but under head coach Jason Martins, they haven't finished under 500 in a year since 2012. So this is a team you think will probably right the ship, and they have played such a tough early part of the schedule. And you talk about that after this foul and this free throw, and again it's Clift, who has started to try to take over for Oklahoma Christian.
Yeah, you often see that. You get a long rebound like that. Sometimes it starts early offense, and Oklahoma Christian doing a really good job getting the ball down the floor. They don't get the layup, but they do get a free trip to the line.
And they might be taking a big chunk of free throws this quarter. There's 8.5 minutes left, and St. Mary's has already committed 3 fouls. So 3 fouls in the first 90 seconds here in the quarter. Get ready for some free throws potentially from the Lady Eagles.
Oklahoma Christian deciding against the full court pressure, but they're still picking up everybody at half court.
That's Cliff's first point, but she goes 1 and 2 from the line. Nice high-low pass, then it was knocked away from Wilson. And right now, let's take a look at today's Heartland Conference scoreboard, brought to you by HEB. No store does more than my HEB. So Newman bounces back after the heartbreaking loss here on Thursday against St. Mary's. And then St. Edwards, the team that knocked off the Rattlers to start conference play, gets the win by a handful. So the two teams that St. Mary's has lost to in conference, to talk about the tough schedule, St. Edwards, the team that won the league last year, and then Lubbock Christian, the number 3 team in the nation. Those are two very tough teams. And now St. Mary's gets a stretch where you'd think they'd be able to bump that conference mark up.
Well, again, you know, this is one of those things where you have a young team, and you got to believe that as the season goes along, some of these younger players are going to get their feet underneath themselves and get some things figured out. And, you know, these players learn how to play with one another. And I think right now, I mean, we're seeing a really nice cohesive unit no matter who Jason's put in these ball games.
It's been a comfortable double-digit lead this whole quarter for St. Mary's. But attacking and a nice slicing move to the basket by Madison Collier.
Collier's one of the few players on this Oklahoma Christian team that's averaging in double figures. So St. Mary's is going to have to be on the lookout for her because she's been mighty aggressive.
Right back up for 3. Dixon missed, got her own rebound. They'll send it right back out.
Yeah, tough to make a shot when you got to take the pass at your ankles, and she still almost got it to go.
Now, we've seen some offensive rebounds. That's another potential downfall of a zone. Can give up a lot of rebounds because you're not on a man to box them out. And a pass tipped away by Dixon, intended with a running Katie Mayo. Hold that, Mayo. Didn't get to her.
You were waiting to spring that on us all day, and I'm trying to avoid it.
And Collier got it but didn't reestablish herself, so another turnover by Oklahoma Christian.
Okay. Oklahoma Christian's junked it up a little bit here in the second quarter. A few more fouls and really taken St. Mary's out of its offensive flow a little bit, but still maintain this 11-point lead with 7:21 left to go before the half.
The Rattlers were picked to finish 4th in the preseason poll. They've been in contention in the top half of this league really every year since Jason Martins has been the head coach. 5 NCAA tournament appearances and just missed out. Really a team that was on the bubble last year and arguably could have got there. But how about the threes? They keep pouring in, and now it's Sierra Dixon that stepped it up from distance.
Yeah, another one of those veteran players on this St. Mary's team that knows how to get it done at this level. Apparently likes it from the top of the key as opposed to the corner. Knocking it down, making it look easy.
Tie up on the deck between Allie Christie and Alexia Torres. Ball stays with the Rattlers.
But again, you start knocking down threes like this team has, and that's their 7th three of the game. You have a tendency to put some distance between you and the opposition.
Well, this is the start of a potentially tough stretch for the Lady Eagles. It's the first of a 4-game road swing. And that's always tough on an extended, prolonged time away from your home gym. But Oklahoma Christian, surprisingly, they've been pretty good away from home. They've won 3 straight away from home. Right now, they've fallen victim to some momentum. It looks like that has carried over from St. Mary's from Thursday night's win. There's the freshman Banks just over the top, rolled it out, no good. But she had 12 in the first quarter and still leads all scorers. Delissa Miller into the game for the first time. Had a shot blocked by Wilson.
Yeah, Tia Mason doing a really good job rolling and help defense there as well.
Mason and Wilson getting some run. A little bit of a bigger lineup with Erika Porter on the bench, the 5'6" junior. And St. Mary's best player picked up her 2nd foul early in the quarter. So she's been on the bench with foul trouble. Wilson commits the turnover.
And Audrey Hayes, speaking of doubling, doing a really nice job dropping down, double teaming the post and creating a turnover. And now St. Mary's. Now looks like Oklahoma Christian wants to pound down on the block.
They did a good job of that early in the first quarter where attacking Wilson kind of went away from it, and now, as you said, kind of back to it. And remember, Wilson, Hannah Wilson right there, playing with 1 foul already she picked up. St. Mary's still has to be weary of that. Touch off the rim, no good. Great play by Keilani Marquez, veteran, senior move, just sneaking back there and disrupting the flow of the outlet pass.
Kind of cherry picking on defense there. In fact, almost looked like it was going to be Marquez that caused the opposition to create a turnover right there. Let's see.
Nearly had it, instead the jump ball, but you win the possession arrow back. It's a heady play a coach will like. Wilson couldn't hang on to the miss, stays with the Eagles.
And the coaches are going to like the job that Tia Mason's doing as well. 25 doing an outstanding job. Every time Oklahoma Christian tries to pound the ball inside, she's over there either to swat it away or bring some help defense. She's trying to kick out and stop the 3, but Oklahoma Christian still gets it to go thanks to Katie Mayo.
Stepping back, knocking it through. Mayo's a double-digit point scorer. Pretty highly touted freshman out of Newcastle High School in Oklahoma, where she beat her teammate Madison Collier in a state title game in both their junior years. Jumper no good from the corner, but an offensive rebound by the Rattlers.
How many times have we said that?
Banks Double dribble, then use some steps, and it's a turnover by St. Mary's. And that'll bring a timeout on the court. Well, Oklahoma Christian chopping back into it, but St. Mary's has extended the lead, and they maintain that double-digit advantage. Rattlers on top by 11. That torrid start in the first quarter from behind the arc helped St. Mary's out to a double-digit lead. Now let's take a look at the first half scoring summary presented by Nissan of Boerne. For better selection and better prices, visit Nissan of Boerne. And there it is, still 7 for 17. That is an incredibly impressive mark for the Rattlers. That's the difference right now in this 11-point ball game.
Yeah, that and the rebounding, which we showed. I mean, you got 9 offensive boards already in this game, and out rebounding Oklahoma Christian by 8 overall in the game on both ends. Yeah, a couple of pretty good stats telling the story in this game so far.
Yeah, the rebounds, the offensive rebounds, as you said, almost match the Lady Eagles' total rebounds. So 9 offensive rebounds for St. Mary's, just 11 rebounds total for Oklahoma Christian. But a foul on Audrey Wanji, now her second for St. Mary's, and the team's 4th.
Yeah, she's trying to fight through a pick. Body's hitting the floor.
Megan Shelton into the game for the first time. Yeah, popped it down to Mayo. Really big effort to try to work that high-low, and Mayo got a nice look, didn't finish though.
They tried to throw it up there with her left hand, just a tad too quick.
Kick to the corner, now a step back, deep 3. Dixon had it go over the top.
That was a heat check. She knocked down her last one from there, just wanted to see if she could get the second one to go. St. Mary's called for a foul in transition, and that's going to go against Alexa Torres from Incarnate Word High School here in San Antonio.
And Jason Martins has done well in grabbing some of the good local talent from around the area. You'll hear more from one of those local players, Raisha Porter, at Roosevelt High School, about why she came to St. Mary's, coming up at halftime.
And you look around this beautiful campus, well, if you're a player, why wouldn't you want to play here? I mean, Greehey Center, this place is amazing and has been for many, many years. I really like what they've done with the baseball field out there. Dixon Stadium is just outstanding.
They have a good history in baseball, softball, diamond as well. National championship in softball. That was now men's head coach Jim Zalesnak, who was the softball coach when they won.
They had a couple of national titles in softball.
So we'll have more on St. Mary's and coming up at halftime in the Homevester halftime show. Take a look at the first half. But then we'll also have the pleasure of talking with Dr. Rosalind Alderman, St. Mary's Vice Provost for enrollment. So we can ask her about that beautiful baseball stadium and more about Rattlers athletics and St. Mary's University.
Now, we talked about 50-50 balls a little while ago, and St. Mary's is they just want it more right now. Hannah Wilson again. St. Mary's getting multiple cracks, ball all of a sudden having a hard time finding the mark, but you keep after it with the effort, and eventually you're going to get rewarded.
And Wilson does get rewarded with her first point of the game. That foul went on Carolyn Lawley. Wilson throws another one up. It goes through. But Hannah Wilson was the hero on Thursday. Game-winning jumper with 4 seconds left to beat Newman 72-70. St. Mary's trailed at the half after giving up 30 points in the second quarter, then came back and rallied for the win. Into the corner, a 3 rims in for Allie Christie.
Nice job of moving the ball for Oklahoma Christian. A lot of crisscrossing underneath. They finally got the look they wanted and converted with the shot.
Tough battle going down in the post between Lawley and Wilson. Wilson calling for the basketball, couldn't get it to her.
Wow.
And then a turnover. Or a foul.
I was watching the whole time. We're trying to set that pick, but refs saw it differently. But on the other end, previously, that's how you do it. Line it up and knock it down if you're Allie Christie.
Now that's the second foul now on Keelani Marquez. So 2 fouls for Marquez and 2 for Porter. 2 starters in some foul trouble for the Rattlers. There was a heat check from Christie. That one no good. Back down to the Rattlers. Good ball movement, trying to split that zone. Banks had the hot hand in the first. Doesn't get it to go.
She has such a smooth stroke, though. Nice job creating a little space for herself, and just didn't quite get it to go. Let's see if they try to go back inside. Indeed.
All the way to the rack. Shelton just left it off the front. Young lineup on the court right now for Oklahoma Christian. A handful of freshmen and a sophomore. As scoring has gotten a little bit more difficult here in the final minutes of the second quarter. Ball ripped away by Marquez and then knocked out of bounds. Couldn't corral it. It stays with the Lady Eagles.
Well, she's so athletic, though. I mean, that was great hustle getting back in that play, because St. Mary's had a golden opportunity with a 3-on-1, couldn't convert, and it looked like Oklahoma Christian was going to get a bunny on the other end because of it. Marquez doing a good job scampering down the court and at least knocking it away.
Another turnover. That's now 6 for Oklahoma Christian.
Okay. Again, I can't say enough about the job Tia Mason's doing in this ball game. They put her back in, and I think she had a little difficulty accepting the fact that she was just called for a foul. She thought she packed somebody's lunch on that one. I thought she did too.
Yeah, instead it's Lawley at the line. Let's take a look here. I like that phrase you used, although it kind of made me think it was a nice gesture. If you pack someone's lunch, isn't that a friendly maneuver?
I guess it
Maybe
can be, unless
like,
you pack a bunch of bad stuff in the lunch.
Just swatted her lunch away from her.
Or at least made her deal with rejection.
Stole her pudding cup. Now Mason trying to carve out space on the low block. Banks taking it strong and rims it in.
Yeah, when in doubt, you're having a hard time finding the mark from the outside, unlike what she had going in the first quarter. Just put it on the floor and go to the hole. I don't know, maybe that'll kickstart the offense again.
And St. Mary's, that was their first field goal in over 4 minutes. So ends a mini drought for the Rattlers. What was a double-digit lead hanging around, but Oklahoma Christian, that's a nice layup by Madison Collier.
Yeah, stepping through the double team and then creating space there at the last second, kissing it high off the glass. Collier's having a nice game.
Collier, one of the best scorers in Oklahoma high school history. She was named one of the top 5 in the state last year, named their Super 5 team. And a touch foul goes down low on Tyra Peck. She's looking at the ref saying, what the peck? What did I do there?
All right, that was well played, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that was better than the Mayo one.
Yeah, I tried. First foul on Peck, and the 4th on the Lady Eagles. Wilson up strong, too strong. Board back down to the Rattlers. And a wide open Banks, swish.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how shooters work, right? You see the ball go in the hole. Oh.
Late 3, almost too early. I think there was some confusion on how much time was left on the clock. That one was chucked up with still about 5 seconds left. So one last chance here on St. Mary's. Won't bother a jumper. And they will go into halftime. So St. Mary's goes into halftime up 40-30 on the strength of Soteria Banks. The freshman has 17 points here in the first half, and it has been an incredibly impressive effort from Banks. Jason Martins is working his way over as Chuck gets settled up here, and we will have his thoughts on that first half and on that stellar play by the freshman. So we'll let Chuck take it away here with Coach.
Well, Jason, tell us what you liked about that first quarter and the hot start that you guys got off to.
You know, I thought we defended pretty well for the most part. I mean, they're a very good offensive team. I'm really happy with that. Offensively, I mean, we were on fire that first quarter, and unfortunately, second quarter, I think we went with that hot start and we took some bad shots. And, if we can have some better shot selection second half, we're going to be all right.
Hey, dude, heat check, right? You got to do it every now and then.
Oh, I know. And the girls that took it were the ones that were hitting. So when we miss a couple, we just need to get back to being aggressive and attack the basket.
Okay, what would you like to see more of in the second half? Just what you just said and then some?
Yeah, we need to get some inside looks. I mean, we're living and dying by the three, and we don't want that to happen the rest of the game.
Jason, thanks for your time. Good luck in the second half.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, thanks to Chuck. Thanks to Coach. More of our Homevestors halftime show. We'll get it started after this. St. Mary's leads 40-30 heading into the half. Welcome to the Homevestors halftime show. Need to sell your home quickly? Call Homevestors, the We Buy Ugly Houses people, 1-800-44-BUYER. And now I'm pleased to be joined by Dr. Rosalind Alderman, the Vice Provost for Enrollment here at St. Mary's. Exciting. St. Mary's is on top by 10 at the half. And
yes.
I want to talk to you more about this university and what makes it so special.
Absolutely. St. Mary's University has been, as you probably know, in the city since 1852. We're one of the oldest universities in the southwest region of the United States, and proudly Catholic and Marianist.
What are some of the academic programs or majors that you have steered students towards that you find that they really enjoy here?
Yeah, well, if you look at what our most popular majors are, students who want to go on to med school or health sciences is pretty popular, always our political science, our business programs. But I wanted to highlight three in particular. We have a new mechanical engineering program. The first class just graduated from there. In the School of Business, we have a new data analytics program. Big data is becoming much more important in our life, as you can imagine, and so that program is gaining popularity. And one of our newest programs is in the School of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, and that's our master's program in public history. And we have such rich history here in San Antonio that we think persons working in that graduate program are really going to be able to not only benefit, but benefit the city by being able to talk about the history here.
And with that connection with San Antonio, with the graduate program you mentioned, what are some recent grads doing now after getting a St. Mary's education?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have students, for example, from the business school who leave here to go on and work with Deloitte, to go on and work with USAA here in town, of course. They work all over the world. We have students who right now are involved in analytical chemistry programs and a PhD. Some students go straight from their undergrad into a PhD. And we have students, of course, who go on to law school or to do public service here in the city as well.
Well, Dr. Alderman, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time. And now I'll let you go back and enjoy the second half.
Thank you very much. It's great to have you.
We'll have more of our Homevestors halftime coverage coming up. St. Mary's leads by 10 over Oklahoma Christian. Welcome back to the Homevestors halftime show. And again, need to sell your home quickly? Call Homevestors, the We Buy Ugly Houses people, 1-800-44-BUYER. Well, today our player spotlight is on Erika Porter, and Steam Master Cleaning is proud to spotlight athletic performance. They want to keep you proud of your home with spot-free carpet. Steam Master Cleaning cleans deep, dries fast. Here's my interview with the junior Erika Porter. We're here with junior point guard Erika Porter, sitting at halftime of this St. Mary's game, and we wanted to get to know a little bit more about you as a junior. I know you've learned from some great upperclassmen, but let's talk about last year for a second. You guys had a terrific season, just came up short of making the NCAA tournament. What did you take from that as motivation coming into this year?
Just the team effort. I think it was very important to be more as a team, so build more chemistry, and I feel like that should transfer more into the season, to learn everybody's strengths and weaknesses. So I built off that. I came off that.
Last year, you had some terrific seniors. As a sophomore, what did you learn from them that has kind of helped you into this year?
I learned so much. I guess just taking more responsibility, encouraging your teammates, and just everything. They were huge contributors. So I feel like I got everything from them.
Did you take it upon yourself kind of in the off season to say, hey, now I'm the junior, I'm one of the upperclassmen, and I need to be a leader, or did it kind of come naturally?
No, of course, because we have seniors now, and they're going to eventually be leaving, and I'm the only junior. So I feel like I have a big responsibility to step up and be a leader. And they look at me as a captain, so, I feel like I have a huge responsibility.
You're having a great year, leading the team, scoring and rebounding. What's maybe more natural for you? Are you more of a scorer or a rebounder, or has that just kind of evolved as your game has evolved?
It's definitely involved. I don't know. I mean, I've always been like that. I've always been athletic. I've been always going for the rebound. You know, I love the little trick shots and trying to go in. I'm starting to become more of a scorer, I will say, and I want to be even more of a scorer, if that makes sense. But yeah, it just evolved. It's how I've always been.
Is there something that you worked on specifically on your shot or on your driving ability to become this more of a scorer this year?
Oh yes, basically my my shot and my drive. Yes.
So coming now into this part of the season, you still have a good chunk of games left, even though I know you've played a lot and you have a good chunk of games left. Is there something that you guys are kind of focused on to say, all right, this final 9+ games that we have, we want to get better in X, or is there one aspect in particular?
Well, we've been watching over film, so we've been looking over the little things, because it's basically just the little things. It's more, I mean, of course, communication that we're trying to focus in, bringing it to the other games. Also, I would say being locked in more, you know, being focused on the game plan and trying to transfer that into the games.
Well, before we let you go, I want to ask about how you got here real quick. Roosevelt High School, what made you want to stay in town and play over here at St. Mary's?
I don't know. I just didn't want to leave home, I guess, that far. But I didn't really have a lot of opportunities or a lot of offers, I would say. So they gave me a one-in-a-lifetime chance, and I took it. Yep, and I'm just excelling and executing it.
So were you in the mindset that you wanted to play basketball coming out of high school? You just thought, hey, I love this game and I want to keep playing?
Most definitely. I was scared at first. I didn't think nobody wanted me. So yes, that was my main plan.
Is that something you still use as motivation? That, hey, maybe no one wanted me?
Yes, of course. So I'm going to make you want me, you know? I'm going to do my thing on the court, and I'm just going to, you missed out. You missed out.
Well, thank you, Erika. This was great. We appreciate the time. Enjoy the second half coming up.
Well, Porter only with 3 points, but 3 assists as well. And really, there have been other players who have gotten involved for St. Mary's here in the first half. And you know what? Why don't we take a look at those first half highlights, and we can show you who's gotten involved for St. Mary's to get them out to this 10-point lead. Highlights are brought to you by the San Antonio Express News, real insights for over 150 years. It was just a surge behind the three-point line in that first quarter, led by Banks.
Yeah, so Tyria Banks came out and hit a dozen in the first quarter, and although she cooled off a little bit, you would expect that, but then she got herself going at the end of the second quarter again. She's got 17, but again, you've got to love the hustle of Kehlani Marquez. She's done an outstanding job on both ends of the floor, super athletic. She's knocked down her shots as well. St. Mary's has done a very good job moving the ball for the most part, and when they haven't, well, Addie Clift has been there. She came up with a steal on the hoop on one end, and she can knock them down from the outside too. She's averaging just a smidge over 20 a game, and again, you know, not the tallest young lady in the world, but when you start busting a few of those threes, all of a sudden you can get yourself to the hole, and that wasn't an easy play right there, stepping through a double team. But again, I think as we take a look at our San Antonio Express News first half stats, Mike, you talk about the shooting percentage, you can talk about the made threes, all these things that have helped UTSA. Really the big key right now is the rebounding. St. Mary's is doing a really good job on that end. Oklahoma Christian is not. That's why they are up 10 at the break.
Second half coming up next. St. Mary's leads by 10. Ten-point lead for St. Mary's. We're set to begin the second half here in a conference game between the Rattlers and the Lady Eagles. We talked about how close this matchup has been historically. They've split the regular season each of the last 5 years. The return trip will be February 10th at Oklahoma Christian. But right now it is the home team on top as we begin the second and the third quarter of play here at Greehey Arena.
Well, you heard head coach Jason Martins just before the half talk about taking better shots. He thought they kind of got away from that a little bit in the second quarter, but you know, no worse for wear. I think when you come out and you bust that many threes, why wouldn't you keep chucking them up, right? Until you're told otherwise, which is exactly what he did.
Top of the arc, straightaway three, knocks it through. 43-30, St. Mary's on top. Marquez has 9. And the Rattlers extend the advantage once again. 9:30 remaining here in the third quarter.
See, that's the thing. You know, you can take those three. If you're that wide open, that's a good shot.
And that's the problem. As you mentioned, they got confident. They settled for that shot because it was going in.
Sure makes the game a whole lot easier when it happens.
Really tight pressure on Clift, has to get rid of it. Turned away, back out to the baseline. Shot clock down to 1, driving shot, and did not get it up in time. Turnover by Oklahoma Christian. Well, tonight's second half of CSN basketball is presented by the San Antonio Express News, bringing you the real facts since 1865.
Well, Marquez hits the 3 to start the second half, and her defensive pressure on that last possession was outstanding. 3 different times got herself back into those plays and forced the shot clock violation.
Good defense on the other end by Tyra Peck also forced Soteria Banks to lose the ball underneath the basket.
Well, I was just getting ready to say both of these teams doing a really good job getting control of the turnovers. Both teams doing a little bit too much of that in the early going, but got to grapple with that in the second quarter. But a couple of early turnovers here to start the third quarter.
Quick release by Clift. Short off the front. Now we're starting to see St. Mary's really attack the basket more here in these first few possessions of the third quarter. Banks sizing up, step back. Offensive rebound, tipped around, and then brought back down. Possession arrow to the Eagles.
Yeah, and that was the story in the first half, I thought. St. Mary's with 11 offensive boards in the first 2 quarters, and I mean, you just can't say enough. It's just great hustle. Hannah Wilson doing a good job getting inside there and out wrestling 2 Oklahoma Christian defenders for that offensive ball.
13-point lead for the Rattlers. Our second half scoreboard sponsored by IHOP. Visit IHOP.com. Very young Lady Eagles team. Clift really the most experienced one. She's a junior. And 3 freshmen in the starting lineup for OC. To the corner, Porter in and out.
Well, Alexa Torres doing a really good job stealing that ball in the last possession.
The Eagles trying to get something going. They do with a 3 by Mayo. We've seen the forward step back and hit those a couple of times today.
I thought what was interesting about that, when Katie Mayo let that ball go, she thought it wasn't going in. She was going to try to get a rebound.
And Mayo has 8. Back to a 10-point game.
I mean, that thing was not even close to being a miss. It was bottom of the net.
Mayo had a nice game. 28 points in their win on Thursday over Texas A&M International.
See both of these teams playing really good post defense right now. Good job by Tyra Peck. But on the previous possession, shooter's touch.
Mayo can block shots. She can step back and hit the 3. Nice inbounds pass and a finish by Arisha Porter.
And I thought that was a great halftime piece that you did with her. And you talk about the lack of offers. You see how athletic she is, but it just goes to show you, I mean, when you're 5'4", you got to show people what you can do 90% of the time. You got to kind of force your way onto somebody's team, and there's no question. You talk about somebody that's 5'4", leading their team in rebounding, shows you what kind of player she's been.
Yeah, I like what she said. I'm going to make them want me. She's taking advantage, and she is an instrumental part of this Rattlers basketball team. Step back, straight away. High tip, and it's on the deck. And there's that hustle. Look at Porter churning to get that basketball. Couldn't do it, but there's the effort.
Yeah, so many times you see a team or you see a player that leads her team in scoring or his team in scoring, and sometimes it's volume shooting and all that, but you see how she lets the game come to her. She's done a lot of little things today to help her team get this lead.
Preseason All-Heartland team selection for the junior. Didn't see her much in the first half with those 2 early fouls. And now back out there for most of this third, and an offensive foul, and that will be the 3rd on Keelani Marquez.
They gotten a little bit with a chicken wing there, the left arm, to create some space, but I'll tell you what, she's a handful. Got that kind of size and you can move. Let's see. Yeah, just a little bit, but you got the defender coming at you and the momentum and everything.
So Marquez heads to the bench. Just 4 minutes into the third quarter. Not really a step down when you put in Soteria Banks in this game because she's been so hot so far. 17 points for Banks in the first half.
I'll say, we talked about her penchant for like getting hot quick and really lighting it up in a hurry. I mean, you know, she was on a pace where she was scoring more points than minutes played.
That's always pretty good. Very efficient.
Yeah.
Mayo's free throw is good. But just 1 for 2 from the line for the freshman.
Yeah, when she's not scoring, she's getting errant rebounds there.
Pretty sizable rebounding advantage for St. Mary's. Let's help the home team out. Here's Torres, knocks through a 3.
So smooth, lining it up, and her shoulders squared, and nothing but the bottom.
Hard fight by Madison Collier, forces her way to the free throw line.
St. Mary's doing a great job swarming to the ball and forcing a tie up there, and how about that? We got the 3 on one end and then great defense on the other end. Gives St. Mary's the extra possession.
And who set it up? Porter with the penetrating dish. Trying to size up the freshman Tyra Peck. Hannah Wilson steps through. Nice move by the freshman.
How about that? Sets you up on the right side, go with a lefty.
You had a little shake at the end. That's a Hakeem
what I'm talking
Olajuwon
about.
type of move.
And a quick shot for Oklahoma Christian. St. Mary's is coming back the other way. You may want to take that shot next time.
Well, Porter will take it, too strong. And down to the Lady Eagles. St. Mary's on top by 16. Lady Eagles trying to end that. Instead it goes down to Erika Porter.
And Porter took a shot there at the end of that rebound.
Wide open. How about Dixon? Couldn't get it to go. Well, Collier has had endless energy. Madison Collier does a nice play to get a touch pass off to Audrey Hayes. It's got to be encouraging for Coach Stephanie Finley to see a freshman guard with that kind of motor.
Yeah, and I thought St. Mary's did a really good job. You know, it was a long rebound. They got back in transition, and they forced their scorer for Oklahoma Christian to pass it off, but just didn't have enough bodies down here to stop the layup at the other end.
Banks setting up a drive. Got it knocked around.
It was good defense.
Shot clock under 5. Banks wants it. Finds some space, and it's an air ball. Shot clock violation. Well, that turnover will lead to a timeout, but it's St. Mary's all the way, 50-36. The Rattlers trying to get back to 500 on the season and extend that conference record. St. Mary's has maintained a comfortable double-digit lead here on Oklahoma Christian, and this is the women's matchup. You know what? We're going to have another St. Mary's Oklahoma Christian matchup coming up at 7 o'clock. It's brought to you by IHOP. Visit IHOP.com. 7 p.m., St. Mary's men's team hosts the Oklahoma Christian Eagles here on KCWX TV. So go get a snack, go get some dinner at IHOP, and then join Chuck and I for more local college basketball. That's tonight at 7 right here on KCWX. And then for future games, you can visit CityWideSportsNetwork.com for our full schedule. Our telecast calendar's up there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. We're getting around town and getting a chance to see some of these games start to finish. And I know the schools are happy to have us here as well.
I like this double dip. You get the women playing. And now they do this normally in the Heartland Conference. The women play and then the men play. But I like the fact that we are televising both, and perhaps it will be a sweep for the home team.
All I know is you're taking me to IHOP in between games, bro.
Hey, I know how much you eat there. We don't have time to get you to IHOP and back. How about a nice move by Erika Porter? She had no time to wait on the defense. Slips it in for 2.
Erika.
Doesn't really have the same ring to it.
Oh, almost a steal.
Lady Eagles firing. Guess who? Madison Collier. 8 points on the night.
You know, even with this score the way it is, a 13-point bulge for St. Mary's, tell you what, Oklahoma Christian has shot it well from behind the arc in this one.
And keep in mind, this is a Lady Eagles team that just became a full D2 member 2 years ago, at the start of the 2015-2016 season. This is their 3rd full year, but this was an NAIA school, so they're still kind of getting up to this D2 level.
There we got bodies hitting the floor, and then St. Mary's doing a really good job swarming to the ball, and Porter finds the ears, takes it coast to coast. My steal, my bucket.
First foul on Megan Shelton and on the Lady Eagles this quarter.
Audrey Wanji checking back into the ball game.
Been a good asset off the bench for Jason Martins, especially when you lose a big chunk of your scoring prowess from last year. You're going to need the youngsters to step up.
Yeah, we talked about, Wanji in the game that she had last time out. You're playing a team as good as Newman is, to get 12 points off the bench. That's a nice little thing to have in your back pocket if you're the head coach. We've seen this from St. Mary's, we talked about how well some of these ladies played stepping up in the last ball game. That's kind of what we've seen here today. So much is expected of Erika Porter game in and game out, and she's certainly done her thing today, not in terms of scoring, but she's gotten a lot of help, and I think it all started early on in this ball game. Soteria Banks got hot early and has really carried the load offensively.
Porter stays in, though, with those fouls. There's a 3 up by Dixon, just over the top, no good. Collier can get the ball up and down the court quickly, and it results into a made 3.
Yeah, Delissa Miller on the defensive end, corralling that rebound, starting the offense for Oklahoma Christian.
Back the other way, and now we're starting to see the scoring prowess of Erika Porter.
Yeah, they're overplaying her a little bit to the right, so it's going to be important for her to go left sometimes to kind of give them a different look. But right now, he's kind of taking over this basketball game.
Perhaps it helped that she got all that rest. She was in foul trouble in the first half, got the rest up, has the fresh legs now. And she has been a bundle of energy out here in the final minutes of this 3rd quarter. Porter tray off the back, swatted out of bounds. And here's some more Erika Porter.
5'4" and like a water bug. Got her head going, bunch of steam behind it. Finished it off at the rack, but again, just great hustle by St. Mary's, staying active on the offensive end, and another extra trip because of their hustle.
32 rebounds now for St. Mary's. They lead Oklahoma Christian by 8 in the rebounding category, but in the important category, points, it's a comfortable double-digit lead. And a 3-second call on the Rattlers, so another turnover. And I feel like coaches are always, they always want to nitpick about something to improve on. This will probably be a game where Jason Martins looks at the turnovers. He mentioned shot selection to you at the end of the first half, maybe turnovers now in the second half for the Rattlers.
Yeah, right there. That was just a sloppy possession. They wanted to post up, and then everybody kind of went to sleep. Not number 2, though.
That is the freshman, the 5'9" freshman, getting a block on the 5'11" Delissa Miller.
Boy, Soteria Banks is really having a ball game, offensively, defensively, all the way around.
Ball in the deck, kick out. A little high-low. And saved by Marcus.
That's what they've been doing all game long. Just doing wonderful work around the glass. We talked about this at the onset about Oklahoma Christian, one of the keys of the game. They were going to have to rebound today, and they've just gotten destroyed on that end, on both ends actually, when it comes to cleaning up the glass.
Shot clock off, but St. Mary's doesn't hold for the final shot in the quarter. Collier's going to try to get it off in time. Miller up and gets fouled right as the quarter comes to an end, so a good take, and she'll have some free throws. There was about a second left before that happened, so I think she will take the free throws before this quarter comes to an end. Well, she wants to. She's standing at the line ready.
Now, that might have been the only mistake Soteria Banks made in this entire ball game.
Took the shot a little early, and then the foul there on the other way, and We'll have to check to see exactly how much time's left in the quarter, but because she got the shot up before that red light went on.
Yeah, that's one of
we'll
those,
take these free throws.
managing ends of quarters. If you miss the shot, there's no harm in that, but the last thing you want to do is leave some time on the clock for the other team to go down and get another possession. And it looked like it was going to be an errant shot, but the late foul, and now we'll see if Delissa Miller can knock down at least the back end of this.
She does, and with .3, not really much the Rattlers can do here after the inbound. And they'll do exactly that, not much. But a good third quarter for St. Mary's. They maintain a double-digit lead, 3 quarters down, 1 coming up. Rattlers trying to improve to 3-2 in conference at home against the Lady Eagles. About to start the final quarter. St. Mary's leads by 12. Let's take a look at the NCAA scoreboard. Sponsored by HEB. No store does more than my HEB. We have some usual blowouts from UConn, as expected. The top team in the nation, unchallenged in American Athletic Conference play. And there's a big matchup coming up. Texas got the win. UConn and Texas will meet Monday night in Austin. That'll be a big one. Purdue trying to spring the upset on Iowa. And Oklahoma State falls. So just like on the men's side, there's some good teams in the Big 12 on the women's side as well.
Yeah, the Big 12 is just top to bottom. There's so much parity. You got Baylor seemingly in every game, and just they don't have a lot to show for anything.
And another turnover, though, by Oklahoma Christian.
Yeah, they're 16th of the ball game, and just when we thought that they had done a good job of kind of corralling that, I take that back. It's their 13th turnover of the ball game, but it's just too many. And on the other side at St. Mary's, I mean, this is a team that's also averaging double digits in turnovers for this season, but they've only turned it over 6 times today.
And a positive assist-to-turnover ratio, always a good sign for those coaches. That's what St. Mary's has right now. 13 assists, just 6 turnovers. Porter has led them, so has Banks, and the freshman knocks it in to beat the shot clock.
Oh, just what the coach ordered. You work the shot clock, get it all the way down, and then Porter doing what Porter does best, especially in this ball game. She has been on fire.
But a foul the other way on Ashley Wanji. So with Porter and Banks, those two guards, a potent punch for the Rattlers, especially moving forward here in the back half of the conference season. Step back jumper, rims in and around, and down to Marquez. So Tyria Banks is now 1 off her career high. So we're on new career high watch for the freshman. She's sitting at 20. Put up 21 against Texas A&M Commerce and A&M International earlier this year. Has it again, attacks baseline, and knocks it through. A new career high for Soteria Banks. 22 points for the freshman.
That's her third 20-point game of her young career.
Cliff shot just short. You know what's more impressive? And then frustration foul on Cliff to pick up her third. She's the only player in double figures in this game.
And she's just so smooth. I mean, just the release and getting up the energy on the jump shot. Really nice flow, and boy, it really pays off. When you've got that nice of a stroke, you can get hot like this.
Moving screen, foul goes the other way. Banks is a 5'9" freshman from Round Rock, Texas. And she could be the future of the backcourt here for the Rattlers. Still got another year of Erika Porter after this, but a promising sign to emerge for head coach Jason Martins.
Yeah, there's a lot of young ladies on this ball club that you look around and go, they're going to like having her around.
Addie Clift goes in to absorb the contact. Just fouled by Ashley Wanji. That's going to be the 4th.
Like Kehlani Marquez, too. I mean, I really like the way that young lady's played on both ends. Lets the game come to her, but just so athletic and wreaks a lot of havoc on the defensive end as well.
And this is a St. Mary's team that's used to being in the top half of the conference. So these are players who have been battle tested, and it seems like they're rounding into form here when you look at the final 10+ games of the conference season.
Yeah, and you spoke about earlier about how much success Jason Martins has had as a head coach here. And again, when you're talking about the youth of this team, you build that continuity, and you hope to be playing your best going forward into the schedule. And now that we're heating up in the middle of this Heartland Conference schedule, I would think that St. Mary's has got to really like the way that they're going right now, the way they've played, especially the last few games.
And if Banks can keep firing like she has, oh, that one rimmed out. That will be another weapon that opposing teams have to contend with. Rattlers have done a good job shutting down Oklahoma Christian's leading scorer, Addie Clift. She missed that 3, but then the putback attempt got the foul from the Lady Eagles. Been a frustrating game for Clift. Only attempted 7 shots, and she's averaging 20 points per game. Now she's got 10, still leads the team in scoring, but she's really had to work for it tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a testament to what St. Mary's has been able to do on the defensive end of the court. Coach Martin's telling us at halftime he was really thrilled with the way they played defense in that first half, and I think a lot of it carried over into the second half as well. Well, they can't get too cocky now. I mean, it's still a 12-point game and plenty of time here. They got to make the most of these possessions.
Yeah, a lot of time still left in the fourth round. Just a little over 3 minutes gone by, or a little under 3 minutes gone by.
Right on cue, and then, you see Coach Martin's telling them, slow it down. There's no reason to be in such a hurry. Pass the ball and move, and that's usually good enough to create a good shot for somebody.
Hanging around the rim doesn't go with an offensive board. That was the 8th turnover for St. Mary's. There's been 13 from Oklahoma Christian. Good extended possession for the Lady Eagles.
Tell you what, now they're getting all the 50-50 balls.
What effort on the glass by Mayo and Clift to keep that possession alive.
Absolutely, and there's a tendency when shots aren't falling to just kind of sulk your head and give up, but that's made them more aggressive.
Do have a double-digit deficit to try to claw back into. Would have worked the ball here for a long time in this trip down the court. Porter fell down. The pass got intercepted anyway. Well, that's got to be a frustrating trip, though, for the Lady Eagles who hold the ball for that long and come up empty.
Yeah, Alexa Torres is doing a really good job filling the lane and getting the turnover there, and then conversely, St. Mary's comes down and nice little jump hook there by 41. Hannah Wilson knocking her down.
That brings a timeout. St. Mary's trying to salt this one away. Double-digit lead for the Rattlers here in the 4th. Comfortable lead for St. Mary's with just 6 minutes, 10 seconds left in this one. But Chuck and I are around for double dip tonight. Can't get rid of us that easily. The men's game comes up at 7 o'clock. St. Mary's and Oklahoma Christian, and both Rattlers teams pulled off pretty exciting wins on Thursday. This team won by 2 points. The men's team won in double overtime. We'll see if that continues tonight against the, do you call them male Eagles? You just call them Eagles, right? Because you call the Oklahoma Christian women's team the Lady Eagles against the Eagles.
The Dude Eagles.
The Dude Eagles. I like that. You can drop that one tonight. So the Lady Eagles will have to work pretty quickly. But 6 minutes, not time to panic just yet, as they try to get you involved in this one. A toss to the corner, out of bounds,
yeah,
a turnover.
Can't say enough about the pressure defense by St. Mary's that time. I mean, they're playing all kinds of perimeter defense, and then Oklahoma Christian tries to pound into the block. All of a sudden, there's 2 people on the ball, forces the turnover, and then almost converted on the other end.
Hung on the rim for a good 10 seconds.
For Ms. Porter.
Porter got all the way to the basket. That was a nice take. Touch pass down low. Strong move by Miller. We've seen some nice moves around the low posts from a couple of these players today.
Indeed, and I think, there have been a couple possessions where I thought Miller's done a really nice job getting post position, and they just haven't found her. But that was a really nice step through and a bucket.
So Tyria Banks has certainly been the unheralded MVP. 22 points to lead all scorers for the freshman. New career high. And it's been a couple of freshmen. This is Delissa Miller, who's a freshman for Oklahoma Christian.
Yeah.
Just one strong drive to the basket.
Yeah, long and strong, and nice first step. There she is again.
Right back down to her, same move. This time doesn't go. And down to another freshman, Hannah Wilson. They work it around while Erika Porter runs back and forth off the ball. Marquez couldn't get it. And it comes down to Madison Collier, sprinting out in front of everyone. And she got bumped for the foul.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If there's such a thing as a good foul, I think that was it. Because that was about to be a layup. And Tyria Banks, choosing discretion is the better part of valor, stopping at least the fast break.
And they're going to have a timeout after that foul. Come back, and it'll be Oklahoma Christian ball. They'll have some free throws coming up after this. St. Mary's leads by double digits. They have had a double-digit lead for about a quarter and a half, and they have maintained that. And coming up, our John Wayne Service Company post-game show. We'll have highlights. We'll have our play of the game. I'll try to guess what it might be. It's a pretty impressive one. And then we'll name our player of the game. Don't really need to guess who that is because there's one person who has really shined today. Freshman Tyria Banks. But we'll have all that and more. Take a look at the stats and then preview the second half of this doubleheader coming up tonight at 7 when their respective men's teams take the floor.
And Madison Collier knocking down her 10th point of the game. Right around her scoring average, and now St. Mary's is going to have to break the press.
This is how you get back in it, try to speed them up. 1-2-1-1 press, but broken easily. That was textbook.
And it really helps if you have somebody like Erika Porter who could just beat you off the dribble and beat a couple of people around and get yourself an easy assist at the other end.
That's the second time that the Eagles have done full court pressure and that St. Mary's has broken it instantaneously. And they keep it up again, and kind of a necessity. They're down by 13 with just 4 minutes left.
They're just slow getting to the corner to try to box her out. Look at that.
That's a fake and a finish by Erika Porter.
They thought they were going to go right back to the same well. She said,
Even though Porter was bottled up and on the bench in foul trouble in the first half, a play like this, you can see why. She is the captain and leader of this team.
Well, I mean, just so fast. I mean, it took her like 3 steps to get down the court.
That faked me out, too.
Yeah, me too. I was already looking for 41.
Set up nicely, too, because Porter had dished it off beforehand, as you mentioned, on the press break before to Wilson. So then the Lady Eagles expecting that, and Porter just takes it herself.
And St. Mary's doing an outstanding job shooting the ball in this ball game. We talked about their prowess from the outside and all the three-pointers that they made early and also started the third quarter off that way. And I think, that makes it a little bit easier trying to get the ball to the hole. And that's really opened things up for Erika Porter here in the fourth quarter for her to kind of keep her Lady Snakes out in front of Oklahoma Christian.
So if the Rattlers hold on, and right now they're up 14, they'll be 3-2 in conference, and they'll head on the road next Thursday to take on Rogers State. And you see the road stretch coming up, Rogers State and University of Arkansas, Fort Smith, before these two massive games at home, the top two teams coming up in the conference, St. Edward's and Lubbock Christian. And for Oklahoma Christian, wow, it doesn't get any easier. Their next game at the number 3 team in the nation, Lubbock Christian, a team that just beat this St. Mary's team 76-42. So that is one good ball club. They won the D2 National Championship 2 years ago.
Have yourself a
Erika
game,
Banks.
too. Yeah. You hit the redundant button.
24 points for the freshman. And a foul on the putback will put the Lady Eagles back at the free throw line. Well, free throws are what carried Oklahoma Christian to the win on Thursday. They only shot 2 for 22 from the three-point line, but 24 for 26 from the free throw line. And they've done a good job getting to the line today as well.
Yeah, St. Mary's has done an outstanding job actually on both ends of the floor here, making it really difficult for Oklahoma Christian to get much of anything or get any kind of a flow in this game. They're trying to shorten it though to the free throw line, knock down a couple of free throws, and then start burning your timeouts and see if you can whittle down this 14-point lead with 3:37 left to go.
Stephanie Finley's been the head coach for 33 years, over 600 wins for Oklahoma Christian's head coach. And Jason Martins, he's getting there, but he's only in his 12th year, so he's got a ways to go, but 216 wins already for Jason Martins. That includes 5 NCAA tournament appearances. So for both of these, they have really carved out a good niche and established some pretty consistent program records over the past, decade or multiple decades in the case of Coach Finley.
Yeah, and you talked about, the tough ball games they've got coming up. After they play their next time, they got to go out and play Newman again, and Newman put it to them the last time they played them. So you're right. I mean, a lot of their season is going to be probably dependent here in the next couple of weeks. So, if they shoot the ball and shoot it well, they're going to stay in some of these games. But, it's ankle cracker right there.
That got the crowd and the bench pretty excited. Collier did get back up, but that's more of a pride hurting there as well. And the bench is still loving it for St. Mary's.
Yeah, so Oklahoma Christian's going to have to shoot the ball a little better than they did today if they're going to want to hang in some of these contests down the road. St. Mary's, again, you get a little bit of everything. When you can start making all these threes, sure opens up everything else.
Banks now has 25. I think that was the key, right? In that first quarter when all of a sudden St. Mary's just started chucking the threes and they just kept firing in after in after in, and it was a 26-point first quarter. Lady Eagles never recovered from that.
Well, Soteria Banks is one of those freshmen that has come in here and really made an impression on her coach. Hadn't started every game, but she's sure gotten a lot of playing time with her ability to put the ball in the hole and play some defense too.
Another nice move by Porter to break through that pressure, but now Jason Martins wants her to slow it down. Under 3 minutes left and getting closer to 20 points rather than single digits. So no need to hurry. A kick out. And in traffic, a three fired up. No good. And Marquez, as she did in the first, another nifty play to knock the ball loose.
It's a real high basketball IQ watching that young lady play basketball. I mean, always in the right place at the right time. Knew exactly where Oklahoma Christian was going with the ball and was right there to knock it away.
It's very nonchalant also. She just kind of stood and flicked the hand out. The ball got popped free.
It's interesting. You talked about her playing multiple sports in high school, and you see that a lot from players that do play other sports. I think it helps. You get some of the absolutes that are inherent in all the sports, and all of a sudden, you start seeing things that maybe other people don't because of all the other things that you've been subjected to playing whatever sport that it might be.
Well, she is a tennis player. It takes a high-level athlete to play tennis. I play tennis, if you didn't get that from what I was saying.
I do now.
Okay.
It's coming to me late. Did you really play tennis?
Yeah, that was my sport.
Do you still play?
Haven't in a while. I have the frame for it, right?
Well, I mean, you got the frame to do just about anything, so I don't know if I can equate the two there, but I keep thinking of, what was the movie Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks? That would be me playing tennis, where he just hits home runs over the fence and says, the tribe wins the pennant. That's about the only exposure I've had to tennis.
Erika Porter missed the first free throw and then a timeout before her second. And yeah, there's the old mantra. Why are you keeping timeouts in your pocket? So Oklahoma Christian's going to try to get through all theirs here. With just 2:23 left.
Hey, we've seen some crazy ball games that we've done here on the CityWide Sports Network. Remember, we did that UTSA Texas State game, the men's game, earlier this year, and UTSA had to overcome essentially a 15-point deficit with just over a minute left to go, but effective uses of the timeouts. Next thing you know, they're walking off with the win, so you never really know. And Oklahoma Christian just playing the percentages here, giving themselves a chance.
Free throw good by Porter. And we'll see what the Lady Eagles drew up in that timeout. But we are talking about the schedule for Oklahoma Christian. And it is, unfortunately, very tough. Not only do they have these 4 on the road, these are the top 4 teams in the conference, at least picked in the preseason. St. Mary's, Lubbock Christian, Newman, and St. Edwards. So I don't know who the Lady Eagles angered, but the schedule makers did them no favors here towards the end of January.
Hey, you got to be mentally tough. You're going to have to play them all at some point. So, you know, hey, you can knock off a couple of those teams. Who knows? You know, you get yourself right back in the heat of the race.
Half-court trap results in a steal, but there's Alexia Torres snatching it right back.
Good job helping her out. Break the double team. Find the open person. Get the ball across the timeline and work the clock some more.
Getting into the calming presence of junior Erika Porter. But she is trapped and in trouble. Able to get rid of it. Under 90 seconds left, and the shot clock is under 10 here in this St. Mary's possession. Marquez for 3, off the front, no good. And then out of bounds off of the Eagles. So a fresh shot clock and a fresh possession for St. Mary's.
Well, Oklahoma Christian has to decide what they want to do here. Are you going to foul? Are you going to double team? Whatever you do, you got to follow through and do it. I mean, you can't let Porter step through a double team and at least allow St. Mary's to get the shot off. And then Porter at the other end showing all kinds of hustle. And again, another possession for the Snakes.
Ball on the deck. And the Lady Eagles get it free. Nice run down the court by Allie Christie. Step back for the freshman. That's too strong. Aya Culver's into the game for the first time. She tipped that one loose, and then a skirmish down low.
Some arms locked and a couple of bodies hitting the deck.
That's Alejandra Esparza who's into the game for the first time. And she got tangled up with Katie Mayo.
Yeah, Alejandra in here for some mercy minutes here. And she comes in here, I meant to say mercenary minutes. It was like you're going hooking arms with another player and both ladies hitting the deck.
Nice use of the rim and the backboard to knock that one in. Esparza's from right here in San Antonio. Played at Clark High School. We have 5 players from the city on this roster for St. Mary's, including, as we've talked about, Erika Porter, the junior out of Roosevelt High School. And now that's it for Porter. Her night is done. As the junior guard gets some high fives and goes over to the bench. Well, under a minute left in this one. Looks like a strong effort by St. Mary's to continue the momentum after Thursday night's dramatic win. And the Rattlers will improve to 3-2 in the Heartland Conference and try to keep pace with everyone who's trying to chase down Lubbock Christian. But full court pressure still on Torres, who gets the ball anyway, but then loses it. Right off the official. He just got in the way.
Well, Alexa did a really good job, really beating a double team all by herself. You know, there wasn't a lot of help trying to get that ball in bounds and just accidentally knocked it off her knee.
There's Mayo, who sinks the short corner jumper. She's been a nice bright spot for Oklahoma Christian into double figures, along with Clifton Collier. Shot clock and game clock nearly identical. Doesn't matter. Turnover gives it back to Oklahoma Christian.
You got some players out on the floor that probably aren't used to playing with each other that much, and game action, but good execution, just couldn't quite find the ears there down low.
St. Mary's still defending tight, and a foul on Esparza will put Madison Collier at the free throw line. Collier's been the catalyst at point guard for this team this season. Freshman out of Hera, Oklahoma. Knocks down the free throw. One of 3 freshmen in the starting lineup, and one of 5 who see significant minutes for this Lady Eagles team.
Yeah, a little bit over her scoring average, as we said. Oklahoma Christian only has 3 players that average in double figures, and Madison's one of them. That should do it, partner.
That should do it as well. Maya Culver's going to run out the clock towards her head coach, Jason Martins. And St. Mary's gets back to 500. 9-9 in the season, 3-2 in Heartland Conference play after the 72-57 win. Well, it was an impressive performance, especially from the three-point line throughout for the Rattlers. And we'll see as Jason Martins makes his way over here after the handshake line what he has to say to Chuck about that performance. Didn't necessarily like the shot selection towards the end of the first half, but the threes kept falling. And as the coach makes his way over, we'll let Chuck get his thoughts on the performance.
Yeah, Mike here with Jason Martins, and Coach, you know, take us through your mindset, what you liked from this game tonight, and what you're going to tell your team afterwards.
I tell you what, I loved our defense tonight. I thought we played tenacious defense the whole time. I mean, this is the leading scoring offense in the conference, and they have 78 points a game. For us to hold them to 57, that's an unbelievable job for us.
Hey, tell us what you got from your bench tonight and what they were able to do to help with the scoring load.
You know, we have a good bench. I mean, Sierra Dixon did a good job, hit a couple threes early to get us going. You know, who else? Audrey Wahanji. She might not have scored a whole bunch of points, but she was down there physical. She battled, and, you know, our young kids are learning how to play, you know, on the fly here.
All right. Take us through your mindset about, you know, where you guys are now going forward. You get a couple of key conference victories here. Do you like the way your team is rolling right now?
No, we definitely are. You know, we knew early on in the year it was going to be a struggle with, you know, we had some injuries early, and then we had a lot of youth, but the youth is starting to get a lot of experience and playing really well. And I was telling people back in October and November, we're going to be a lot better in January and February. And, you know, we're starting to get there. We're finally back up to 500. We've dug ourselves out of that hole, and now we just got to keep on rolling.
You talked about the youth. How about the job that Banks did in this one?
Oh, no, she's been phenomenal here lately. I mean, I don't know what she ended up with tonight, 27 or so, but she had some great shots, some big-time plays, and she has that capability. We've known that all year, and about the last 10 games, it's starting to come out.
Jason Martins, thanks for your time. Congratulations on the win.
All right, thanks, Coach and Chuck. That'll do it for our game broadcast. But we have our post-game show coming up. Recap the St. Mary's win, 72-57. The John Wayne Service Company post-game show comes your way next. Welcome back. It's time now for the John Wayne Service Company post-game show. When you need heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical help, make just one call to fix it all. 210-293-6700. So a 72-57 win for St. Mary's. They are now 3-2 in conference, and we saw 2 tremendous performances from the guards out there today.
Well, it starts with Soteria Banks. I mean, she came in, started busting threes early in this ball game, really forced Oklahoma Christian to have to come outside and play defense on the perimeter, and that seemed to open up everything for this St. Mary's offense. But, man, it was outside, whether she put it on the floor with a head fake, the jump shot, hoop and hack right there. Soteria Banks doing it in, you know, pretty economical, 10-21 from the floor. And then, oh, yeah, I can play some defense too. Gets the block, and then shovels it back towards the right side, busts another shot. 3 of 5 from the three-point line. That was huge. And she also chipped in with 5 rebounds.
She is our CSN player of the game, who's rolling, presented by Rolling Rentals and More. Rolling Rentals and More. Wheels, tires, appliances, electronics, no credit check, easy payment plans, low cash prices. Call 210-521-RENT. So we saw the player of the game. We had a lot of very good plays, but what do you think our play of the game is? It's presented by Steam Master Cleaning. Steam Master Cleaning cleans deep, dries fast. There were a number of them, and you know what? It was this good finish by Erika Porter.
Yeah, Erika doing a really good job in the open floor. What I really loved about what she was able to do today was she really let the game come to her. I mean, we talked about her efficiency scoring the ball game in and game out. Now she leads the team in scoring. Well, she came out and had 12 points today, but she had 6 assists, 5 rebounds at 5'4". Clearly one of the quickest players on the floor, if not the quickest player for sure. Just really did what her team needed when her team needed it. She realized that, okay, it looked like I could defer some of the scoring today, and I'm going to chip in here. And she came up with some really good defensive plays there in the second half as well.
Now set the tone in the second half. It was the freshman, Soteria Banks, who set the tone in the first half. So let's take a look at some of those second half highlights from Erika Porter. Our post-game show highlights are sponsored by the San Antonio Express News. Banks and Porter really throughout the game all day.
Yeah, the Banks was open quite a bit today, as a matter of fact. And then again, we saw what she did on the offensive end. Probably didn't get enough credit for what she was able to do on the defensive end as well. Look at that, they double teamed the ball, and Porter's there to come up with the loose ball. And as we always say, my steal, my bucket. She went and converted it the other end, and then, boy, look at that burst. Quick step off the dribble, creating for herself, getting the bucket there, and it was really rough sledding for the most part for Oklahoma Christian today, but Madison Collier had a heck of a ball game, 13 points in this one, and did a lot of her damage from the free throw line, 6 of 8, but I don't know where Oklahoma Christian would have been without her presence on the floor today, both ends of the floor as well.
Yeah, what are the freshmen for Oklahoma Christian who led them? Collier, one of them, leading them as well, and then Katie Mayo. But the final stats are going to be 3-point heavy for St. Mary's. We'll go back and get you those final stats coming up in our next segment of post-game. But more coverage coming up. Chuck and I will be here to break down this St. Mary's win, 72-57 for the Rattlers. Welcome back to the John Wayne Service Company post-game show. Time to look at the final stats from this one. The three-pointers carried St. Mary's early on in the first quarter, and after that, it kind of came back down to earth, but they continued to shoot the ball well. When you knock down 10 threes, that's always going to be a big help.
Yeah, certainly, and I think the biggest thing here is that you're talking about one of the best or the most prolific offenses in the entire Heartland Conference, and thanks to the work of Kehlani Marquez and others, to hold them to 31% shooting, you're going to win a lot of basketball games if you can do that. Again, they were just so active, whether it was playing defense or even just staying active on the offensive end, trying to get extra rebounds. Now, of course, the rebound thing kind of tightened up as we went along here in the second half, but just an outstanding job all the way around by St. Mary's in this ballgame.
Let's take a look at the updated Heartland Conference standings now. They're presented by MySA.com, bringing you the real facts since 1865. Big win for St. Mary's to get to 3-2. Right in the thick of the top half of that conference, chasing down Lubbock Christian, and unfortunately, Oklahoma Christian falls to 1-4 in the league, but the Rattlers right in the thick of it going into the second half of this conference schedule towards the back half of the season.
Yeah, you want to be playing your best ball. You talk about you start your season in a year, and then you go to the next calendar year, and of course I'm forgetting what year it is, but you get 2 key conference wins right up off the bat, and that's the thing, you don't want to bury yourself. Give yourself a chance to, when you go into your conference tournament, to get a pretty decent seeding, and then, you never know what can happen. These are long seasons, and again, something for St. Mary's to build on. If you play defense like they did tonight, they're going to win a lot of ball games. I don't care who you are, Lubbock Christian or anybody else.
Well, the St. Mary's women get a win, and we are not going to go anywhere. You guys can go somewhere and then come back at 7 o'clock. Here's what's next on the CSN telecast calendar, brought to you by IHOP. Visit IHOP.com. 7 o'clock, St. Mary's men host the Oklahoma Christian Eagles right here on KCWX TV. So come back right at 7, and for future games, visit the CityWide Sports Network.com for our complete schedule of exciting college basketball games. CSN, where it all begins. Well, that'll do it for today's CSN telecast of St. Mary's women's basketball. It's a Quarter Moon production and the Rattler Network. So for Chuck McAtenick, I'm Mike Lefko saying so long from Greehey Arena at St. Mary's University. See you later tonight for the men's game. The women, a winner, 72-57. Thanks for watching.